What's up, dead nerds? CJ back with another movie review. Today's movie is another Clive Barker special, Books of Blood. So it's honestly a really good movie. How do I put this? It's not what you expect. It's an anthology movie where there's 3 different stories being told at once. And the setup for it is honestly really good, and the connection between the stories is really good. Now, this is based off of the Books of Blood by Clive Barker. He wrote like 6 books or something in the series, which I gotta check out and look up and see if I can read them, because if they're anything like this movie, I know this is all based on new stuff for the movie, but if they're anything like this movie, then I'm gonna really enjoy it. Personally, I'm excited for it. So yeah, this movie is based on 3 stories, right? 1, 2, 3. It it is centered around the Book of Blood. The first story opens up, and it's just this guy. He's like a contract killer, and he's in search of the book. And then the next story starts, and it's the story about this girl who has this weird thing with noises and like people chewing and stuff. So yeah, it tells her story almost all the way through, and she has to escape from like these people that are doing some crazy stuff, and then jumps into the next story, which is about this scientist who basically debunks supernatural things until she meets this medium who speaks with the dead. And and after that, I'm sorry, it's kind of late. I'm tired and stressed. She believes that he can actually talk to her son, who passed away from leukemia. And then the third story finishes up with the guy finding the Book of Blood, and his story ends. And it cuts back to the girl whose story goes back, and her story finally finishes. So the way it's set up and all the way the stories are connected and stuff are really cool. Technically, the scientist story is the beginning, even though it's the third story told, because it's set before everything else. And then the second story is the next story in line, but it's happening simultaneously with the first story / the last story, and then it wraps up with her again. So like sometimes when movies jump back and forth like this, it's stupid and confusing, and the writing doesn't make sense and blah blah blah. However, they do a really good job in this movie and tying them all together and making it cohesive for you to understand. And it's not overly simplified like a lot of movies do. It's not really complicated like the other part of movies do. It fits that nice, road right up the middle. The name of the movie is Books of Blood. Yeah. Now, is this a horror movie? Would I consider this horror-tastic? Yes, I would 100% consider this movie horror-tastic. I would say it's a Clive Barker special for sure. You've got all the monsters in this movie are really just people and ghosts, so you don't really have like crazy creatures doing anything or anything. But the way they show the dead and the things that the humans do are super creepy and super monster-like, which is what really helps with like giving you the chills and giving you the spooks. So that's really cool. There's a few jump scares, nothing too crazy. you kind of expect them, but uh, I don't think they're there to jump scare you like how a lot of movies do. I think they're there to just give you more tension and more build up for the story, which is really nice. There is gore, but it's not overly done gore. It's kind of like the nice stream of gore that you're gonna want to see in movies, where no one's like really disemboweled or anything. I mean, there's a part where you see someone after he got cut up by a chainsaw, but that it's not a focus of the movie. The best gore in the movie is the book itself, which I'll talk about in my favorite scene. Now, what was wrong with the movie? It's kind of slow paced, but not terribly slow paced. It at parts it's also very boring, I guess I would say. It kind of you have to really put yourself in the movie to understand it and get it. But after the first 30 minutes or so, I would say it does a good job of pulling you in. Because the beginning of the girl story is just terribly boring, and it's there for a reason, and you need to know it. But if it wasn't for that being the way it is, I would rate this movie much higher. But apart from that, everyone's acting is pretty good. Everyone does their parts really good. So, I can't complain too much. My favorite character of the movie, that's a tough one. If I had to pick one character from the movie, I would have to say the mom, who is the scientist who lost her son. Her name's Mary in the movie. She does amazing work in the movie when it's time for her story to be told, and how it kind of wraps everything up and makes you understand what's going on with the movie. She lost her son. He was only like 6 or 7 when he passed, back in the early 90s. 93 is when he passed. And the rest of the movie is supposed to be set like current day. So, a lot of time has passed. And she takes it hard, but she keeps on working. She keeps doing her she's a scientist slash teacher. So her whole thing is like trying to teach students to, debunk supernatural stuff. And then this medium comes in, and he does such a good job at doing his thing that she actually believes him and thinks this is the first medium ever, and actually believes that her son is talking to him. And for at least a year or something, this goes on, and they become a couple and stuff, and then they go to get a grant, and they can't get a grant or something, and so they need people donations for money for a new science project that they're going to work on together, involving his medium. But he gets drunk one night, and he lets loose that he faked everything. Everything was false, and he's just really good con artist, basically. And it really upsets her, and she kind of like has a mini spiral. But then she actually sees her son again, her son who passed away from leukemia. And that's when all the spooky stuff starts happening with the ghosts in the story. And this is now my favorite scene is coming up is she tricks him in the meeting for donations and stuff. She tricks him into going into her son's room and saying, hey, he's going to perform one of his medium tricks, and he's going to show everyone how he can communicate. And he's like nervous and scared, and he's like, crap, we're going to lose, all the donations. And why is she doing this? Is she going to let me leave? She wants to keep going on with this. He plays along, and he goes in the room. She closes the door behind him. And then the son appears. And he's like, holy crap, get me out of here. And then all of a sudden, all the walls just disappear, and he's just surrounded by like hundreds of not zombies, of ghosts, ghosts in the movie, and it's such an awesome scene. He's just got all these spirits all around him, and they just start ripping him apart, taking all his hair off his body, and then just like carving their stories into his skin, their story of their life or their death or their names, and his whole entire body is covered in just bloodied stories, like words all over him. She opens the door, he's on the ground like choking on his own blood. And he like lets out like an "I'm sorry." And that's the best scene in the movie. That is the spookiest and creepiest and just awesomest scene in the whole movie, in my opinion. And then you find out he is the Book of Blood. So that's who or what the assassin was going after. And he finds out quick why you don't want the Book of Blood. But yeah, that's my take on the movie. I think it's pretty awesome. It's not the greatest movie I've seen, but super interesting and definitely worth a watch. I would watch it again. So I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 spooks. I think everyone should at least watch it once. And if you have, or you're, whatever, you're gonna, and then come back to the video, tell me down below. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like the video. If you like these stories, you like me talking about these movies that I've been watching every day, don't forget to share with your friends. Give me some movie recommendations, all that stuff. But yeah, Book of Blood. Go check it out. Clive Barker's newest movie, I guess, is the best way to put it. Peace out, squad. Love you guys.